Driving study. Alcohol and cannabis have contrasting effects on speed control. Subjects who operate a vehicle under the influence of cannabis tend to drive more slowly, while those under the influence of alcohol tend to increase the speed, according to the driving simulator data published in the Journal of Traffic Injury Prevention. Investigators with the University of Iowa assessed simulated freeway driving performance in subjects following their use of cannabis, alcohol, and placebo. 53 participants with a history of type 1 THC cannabis use completed 3 visits, one after smoking placebo, the second after smoking 6% THC, and the third after smoking 10% THC. 18 of those participants had a 4th visit where they drove after using alcohol with a breath alcohol content of 0.05. Both cannabis use and alcohol use were associated with increased incidence of weaving, a finding that is consistent with prior studies. Compared to the placebo group, those under the influence of cannabis spent more time at speeds significantly below the speed limit. By contrast, those under the influence of alcohol spent close to 40% of their time with more than 10% above the speed limit. Several other studies have similarly reported that drivers under the influence of cannabis tend to exhibit more compensatory driving behaviors, while those under the influence of alcohol tend to drive in a more reckless manner. The study's authors concluded, this comparative analysis sought to assess the effects of cannabis on driving and put them into context by looking at the magnitude of the effects compared to those of alcohol on driving. Ultimately, 3 primary conclusions can be drawn with respect to the effects of acute cannabis use on freeway driving relative to those of alcohol. 1, driving after acute use of cannabis in this population produced impaired lateral control that was similar to the magnitude and the effect to driving under the influence of alcohol at 0.05 BAC. The effects on lateral control are not dissimilar to those observed in other driving environments. And 3, driving after acute use of cannabis and alcohol produce opposite effects on speed control, with slower driving following cannabis use and faster driving following alcohol use. So science is a tool. It can be used to do great things like generate knowledge that improves health outcomes and saves lives. In this case, it proves something that most cannabis users already know. Driving under the influence of alcohol is less reckless than driving under the influence of, driving under the influence of cannabis is less reckless than driving under the influence of alcohol. However, driving under the influence of alcohol is driving under the influence. It makes you less reactive and less precise in driving, and you should be aware of that also. So this is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High 9 News.
Has anyone ridden with Jason Beck?
I'm efficient, Jenny Beth. I'm an efficient driver. I believe in efficiency, and I believe in pole position because I don't like getting slowed down by cars that don't take off fast enough.
It feels like go-karts or motocross.
Well, I have.
When he hits the bumps, he goes, wee.
Well, I naturally have a lead foot since my right shoe is heavier than my left.
That's true. It's
Just
true.
saying.
He drives with his big shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we surprised by any of the findings of this? I mean, yeah.
I'm not surprised. I mean, we've been knowing this and been saying this, and this is why I don't believe in all the hoopla about all this drug driving calamity that the country is crying about.
You know what's really dangerous that I've been seeing a lot of is kids doing nitrous in driving.
There was a sad story last week about they pulled a young lady, passed away out of the passenger seat with a nitrous tank between her legs. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
I've seen several clips on X of of people just rear-ending people on the
Really?
freeway and stuff. Just lunacy.
No
Absolute
way.
idiots. Sit down before you hit that balloon, my
Correct.
good friends.
Well, not to mention, like, the balloons get so big you can't see through the balloon.
No, they're hitting it straight out of the container, bro.
Oh, wow.
Which is also dangerous. You're going to blow a lung hole out.
Oh, man.
You can also freeze your windpipe.
Yeah, exactly.
Things
That's
you
what I was
should
gonna
not
say,
buy
Matthew.
from a smoke shop for $1,000, Alex.
That's
And
cute.
I just want to point out that it's just not to yourself that you're doing harm, it's to other people too, because that's a very heavy car. So, it's just not about stopping you. Be safe with other people's lives too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Totally agree. Be safe out there, you guys, whatever you do.
Also, if you are going to do nitrous, make sure to supplement with a lot of B12. Nitrous oxide use actually depletes your body of B12 and can give you symptoms similar to MS and other neurological conditions and can actually damage your nervous system.
Really?
Oh, yes, sir. So if you're going to do nitrous, supplement with B12 and use the methyl versions, not the cyano. So B12 comes in several versions.
Hold on.
The version is called methylcobalamin.
What's it called?
Another version called cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin is actually a false B12 molecule built off of a cyanide molecule. They use it because it comes from industrial processes as a waste product and it's cheaper. Don't use cyanocobalamin, take methylcobalamin. And sit down like Jenny said.
Please don't fish out.
Do you agree with this message, Dr. T?
In terms of using B12,
Yeah.
there's a lot longer discussion to have about B12. It really depends on if you have something called an intrinsic factor that helps you absorb the B12. If you don't have it, then whatever type of B12 you're using doesn't really work. Some people promote using B12 injections to get around that. So talk to your doc about B12 supplementation so that you get the right amount into you. But yes, the lack of B12 will cause a central nervous neuropathy. We've seen it many times.
Interesting.